What is up, gamers? So we all know the game Fnaf Freddy's too, right? Well, obviously there's a new movie coming out based off of that. So I wanted to go over the new animatronics today versus the ones that they are referencing in the game. Because obviously the trailer came out a few weeks ago, probably a few months ago, and I want to go over them real quick and go over some brand new news that just came out today on the 10th. So without further ado, let's go right into it. Now, I will like to add, we are going to be excluding some missing animatronics, considering that Withered Foxy, who we will talk about later, isn't exactly fully shown in the trailer. We are also excluding Withered Freddy, because we haven't really seen much of this character other than this Fanta leaked little thing here. And of course, the secret characters, Golden Freddy, Shadow Bonnie, Phantom Freddy, and JJ. But yeah, once again, without further ado, let's get right into it. Let's start with the toy animatronics, starting with Toy Freddy, who is also voiced by Kellen Goff now, which is amazing as a Fnaf fan to know that Kellen Goff is back voicing Freddy. And we have seen more footage of Freddy walking around thanks to the new expo. Yeah, and looking at the trailer, this is by far the most accurate design we have ever seen. The only noticeable differences are the different shape of the eyebrows and the glowing eyes, which looks like to be a trend for these new movies, which either signals that there are trapped spirits in them, kind of like how they showed it in the endings of FNAF 3, or just to kind of signal that they're powered on, whichever one feels right for you. And yes, you can see a white light coming from the inside of a animatronic's mouth, which is different from the games, but remember, in the game, Freddy has the same exact gap in his mouth. It's just now that it's a practical suit, the suit's going to have to react with the lighting from the surrounding environment, including the lights from inside, which honestly I don't really care too much about. Which I'm sure would have been the case if the game actually included the same kind of lighting environment. And the behind-the-scenes cameras also show the full thing. Everything, the joints, the size, and the shapes, everything is one-to-one with the game design. Next, we've got Toy Chica. Once again, it's a very, very accurate design to the original, and is also voiced by Megan Fox as of knowing this today. Apparently, like, the feathers or like the hair on the top of her head can move, which is different, which I don't really have much feelings on, which is also a pretty common trend for these movies. They add more movement and mobility to the animatronics and more expressive abilities, which actually kind of makes them look more realistic, in my personal opinion. The only change we can see is a slightly different beak design, but other than that, you have to kind of like really squint to see it. We haven't seen much of her yet, so I can't really say much on that. But I am curious to see if she will be able to take her beak off like she can in the games. This motherfucker. I hate you. I despise animatronic. All those nights. All those runs ruined by you. Well, anyways, we've got Toy Bonnie coming up, who actually just got announced to be voiced by Matthew Patrick, aka Matt Pat himself. We don't get to see too much of Toy Bonnie in the trailers, but we do get to see Toy Bonnie practically walking around in the new expo next to Toy Freddy. So we do get a really good look at what Bonnie's initial design looks like. And going off of what we see in the trailers, they pretty much hit him until this point, which is really surprising to me, because they seem to be kind of hiding him a little bit, and then they kind of just let him walk around in broad daylight. Which to me, I think is kind of a little bit of marketing, but also I kind of like that, to be completely honest. We never really got to see much of him. Like, even in the trailers, when like a group of teenagers enter the pizzeria to unveil the abandoned animatronics, you get to see a really good look at Toy Freddy and Toy Chica. But there's a really bad glare that's covering Bonnie, only seeing like the tip of his guitar. From what we've seen, the design is, again, extremely close to the original. The only exception is the eyes. Again, common trend for these movies. We do see him and other animatronics using weapons such as knives to kill instead of what we assumed in the games as their pure strength, which is an interesting choice. making it feel more like a slasher. I kind of want to see Mike have to deal with Bonnie being a little bitch and the events dying over and over and over and having to restart. So that's more accurate to the game, if you ask me. We've got Balloon Boy next. My only comments on his new design is that it looks like they made his eyes a little bigger and his pupils got smaller. And it appears he won't be trotting around the pizzeria with his cute balloon inside anymore. Which honestly, I don't care about Balloon Boy. I don't really care about that. And that's honestly it. Literally everything else perfect. The colors of his clothes are the exact same. The smile, the hat, the red cheeks, everything. I'm so glad that they aren't using the design from the first movie. And I am curious why there are two Balloon Boys in the FNAF 2 pizzeria. One of them from the VHS looking video, and then the one that'll be causing Mike to have to go to therapy. Or the hospital. I'm curious to see how that goes. Last in the line of toy animatronics, we got Mangle. Mangle is the biggest op in this movie for sure. He's crashing through windows and on top of cars. This dude is moving. The design looks one-to-one once again, which I just know is a pain for the team at Blumhouse. Mangle has to be practical just like the rest, but the puppet that they had to make must have been a nightmare to make and puppeteer and edit. From what we see, Mangle's arms are perfectly recreated and used to choke an intruder we see in the very beginning of the trailer. Which also means that Mangle can climb and traverse just like in the game, which is extremely good to hear as a FNAF fan. The head is exactly the same, and it does appear to be cleaner in the movie, and we don't really see his left eye, only the lit right one. So we'll see if they'll have the silver eye or not, which is another common trend on here. The FNAF 2 animatronics are common to have the silver eyes. So I am really curious if they're going to go with the silver eyes in this, or if they're going to assume, or if we have to assume that the silver eyes is the glowing eyes in this iteration of FNAF. Now let's move on to the marionette, or better known as the puppet. We haven't seen much of the puppet in the trailers, to be completely honest, which honestly I kind of like. It gives more of a horror factor, more of a mystery factor. But we do get a chance to see the face and how she moves. And from what we see, again, it's a one-to-one from the games. We haven't seen much of it, so that's all I can really say about that, other than the fact that her movement is awesome and horrifying, which will be amazing to see on the big screen. Now we're moving on to the Withered animatronics, starting with Withered Chica. Apart from the obvious glowing eyes, which again, there appears to be no other difference between the two figures on the screen right now. The only thing is that the text on the bib is bigger in the movie than in the game, and the jaw in the game is much more wide and open and exposing more of the endo and wiring in comparison to the movie counterpart. Although we could see the jaw actually moving in the movie, but hey, that's just a theory. Let's move on to Withered Bonnie. 3 words. 1, 2, 1. It's perfect. Although we only get to see him in the left vent, just like in the game, and the details in the suit are impeccable. The only change is the eye color, where they used to be red, but that's not really a big deal. He's still terrifying, and I'm sure he'll be a menace. Now let's finally talk about Foxy the Pirate. We've only seen possible leaks for this design, aside from that close-up shot from the trailers. The only differences seem to be that there's no little spikes of hair above his head, and they seem to use a darker red and a different color for his snout. But overall, it looks amazing and incredibly accurate, getting even the withering details correct and on the same exact spots. Foxy's by far my favorite animatronic out of all of them, so I'm glad that they're giving my boy the recognition he deserves. Now with that, that's the breakdown and comparison of all the FNAF 2 animatronics that we've seen so far in the trailers. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. See ya. Sacrifice the box cube. At this point, I don't need it. Yes! Oh my god.